September 1260. A small army gathers on the parched plains of Galilee. The sky is clear. The wind carries the dust of a world already burned by conquest. Across continents, a storm has marched unchallenged. The Mongols, they have razed cities, shattered armies, and reshaped civilizations. Nothing has stood in their path, until now. This is not a story of heroics in the traditional sense. This is a story of strategy, of timing, of systems colliding at a single point in history. Here, we tell history differently, not as a series of victories or defeats, but as a network of decisions, structures, and consequences. We explore the moments when discipline, planning, and insight determine the fate of nations. This is a story of one of those moments. This isn't just about a battle in 1260. It's about why one of the most feared armies in history, which had marched across Eurasia, was suddenly stopped. It's about why the Mongol Empire, poised to dominate the Middle East, never reached Egypt. And it's about how a single decision reshaped centuries of history. To understand Ain Jalut, we must first understand the Mongols. By the mid-13th century, the Mongols were more than warriors, they were an engine of conquest. Their society was organized for war. Every tribe, every unit, every leader understood their role in a complex system. Speed was their weapon. Mobility, communication, and psychological pressure allowed them to conquer vast regions with astonishing efficiency. Cities fell not just from the strength of their cavalry, but from the fear they inspired. Governors surrendered preemptively. Armies broke before they clashed. From the steppes of Mongolia to the deserts of Persia, resistance seemed futile. The Mongols were relentless. Their campaigns were meticulously planned. Intelligence was gathered ahead of time. Logistics were calculated, and every general understood the value of precision over impulse. The Mongols, the fall of Baghdad in 1258, illustrates this perfectly. The Abbasid Caliphate, a civilization at the peak of scholarship and culture, was annihilated. Libraries burned, scholars killed, and the city's infrastructure destroyed. It was not merely a military victory. It was a demonstration of total systemic control. After Baghdad, the world assumed Damascus and Cairo would be next. But even the Mongols were not invincible. Their success depended on cohesion. Their forces were strongest when they moved like a single, unified organism. When that system could be disrupted, even the most formidable army could falter. Meanwhile, in the Levant, the situation was fragile. The Muslim world was politically fragmented. The Ayyubid states, heirs to Saladin's legacy, were weakened by internal disputes. Cities operated independently, and rivalries often outweighed shared survival instincts. This fragmentation seemed to guarantee Mongol domination. Yet, in Egypt, a new power was rising. The Mamluk slave soldiers turned rulers were disciplined, organized, and battle-hardened. Their society valued hierarchy, training, and cohesion. Unlike their rivals, they could act decisively when the stakes were existential. It was in this context that Sultan Qutuz came to power. He understood the danger. He knew that a Mongol advance into Egypt would not just be a military defeat, it could end his civilization. The challenge was monumental, facing an enemy who had never been stopped, whose reputation alone had toppled cities. The stage was set at Ain Jalut. The Mamluk army numbered around 20,000 to 25,000 men. The Mongol force, led by Kitbuka, a competent and ruthless general, was smaller but highly experienced, and had already demonstrated its ability to annihilate entire armies. Baybars, one of Qutuz's top commanders, recognized the Mongols' reliance on mobility and psychological pressure. A direct confrontation in the open desert would be suicide. Instead, he devised a strategy rooted in patience, terrain, and discipline. The Egyptians used the ridges, gullies, and vegetation to conceal their forces. They created the illusion of weakness, appearing smaller and scattered. The Mongols, trained to exploit even the smallest sign of disorder, took the bait. The battle demanded restraint unlike any other. The Mongols executed feigned retreats, a tactic they had perfected over decades. Their light cavalry drew out opponents, creating openings to encircle and destroy them. Every Mamluk soldier had to resist instinct. One rash charge could unravel the plan. Qutuz and Baybars maintained calm authority. Orders were clear. Timing was precise. When the Mongols attempted to exploit gaps in the Egyptian lines, hidden reserves counterattacked. They struck not with emotion, but with cold calculation. This was a battle of discipline over instinct, strategy over courage. The Mongols had been undefeated for decades, yet here they encountered a force that matched them in system, if not in terror. The Mongols were defeated. Kitbuka was killed. Many of its generals were slain. The Mongol advance into the Levant ended. For the first time, the invincible had been broken. But this victory was not the result of chance or valor alone. It was the product of understanding the Mongol system, anticipating its moves, and turning its strengths against itself. The Egyptians had transformed the battlefield into a controlled environment, where speed and terror became liabilities for the Mongols. In short, the Egyptians won because they had structure, patience, and foresight. They did not outfight the Mongols, they outthought them. The consequences of Ain Jalut were immense. First, it secured Egypt. The Mamluks could consolidate power and stabilize the region. Second, it preserved the cultural and economic heartlands of the Middle East. Cities, trade routes, and scholarship survived. Third, it halted the Mongol expansion into North Africa and the Eastern Mediterranean. Imagine a different outcome. How had the Mongols succeeded? The Middle East might have been permanently destabilized. The flow of goods, knowledge, and power across the region could have been altered for centuries. Europe might have faced Mongol forces from the south as well as the east, potentially changing the course of Western history. But instead, a small, disciplined army altered the trajectory of empires. This was not a story of individual heroics, it was a story of systems, choices, and the disciplined execution of a plan under immense pressure. Ain Jalut became a benchmark for military scholars. It demonstrated that even the most formidable force can be countered with intelligence, preparation, and control. It also reshaped the psychology of warfare. The Mongols were no longer perceived as unstoppable. The idea that a system, however dominant, has vulnerabilities was reinforced in every corner of the known world. Beyond the immediate military outcome, Ain Jalut teaches a profound lesson about human decision-making under pressure. Every soldier, every commander, faced fear and uncertainty, but discipline, structure, and adherence to a plan allowed them to act rationally. The Egyptians did not rely on emotion, valor, or luck. They relied on understanding systems, both their own and the enemy's. The Mongols, in contrast, relied on speed, psychological dominance, and terror. These were strengths, but they were also rigid. When confronted with a force that anticipated their tactics and controlled the environment, the system faltered. This dynamic is echoed across history. Even the most formidable empires, when faced with disciplined, thoughtful opposition, can be stopped. Ain Jalut is not just a story of swords and arrows, it is a study in strategy, systems, and restraint. Ain Jalut was more than a battle. It was a demonstration of how foresight, discipline, and structure can overcome even the most overwhelming power. It reminds us that history is shaped not only by the force of arms, but by planning, patience, and the intelligent execution of strategy. Which story should we explore next? The moments where choice, not chance, changed the world. Subscribe and join us as we trace the decisions that quietly shaped civilizations.